What will happen to you if you don't forgive others? Right now on The Bearded Prophet. In my last video, I talked about the beauties and the glories of being released from debt, released from sin, forgiven by God, which is possible in Jesus Christ if you'll admit you're a sinner, you owe a debt you can't pay, and admit and believe that God paid that through the death, burial, and resurrection of His Son Jesus, and that He wants to give you the same new life. You can be saved, released from debt, debt-free this year, right now, by faith. But Jesus continues on in the story, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute. He says, if you receive that forgiveness, and then you continue to live a life where you do not forgive other people, there is a bad ending coming to you. That debt that you were released from is going to come back on you and send you to a very bad place. So stay tuned. Let's watch that right now. And I want to say that if you're watching this and you say, you know, I have received that forgiveness. I am walking with Jesus. I know that I'm saved, and I do believe I'm released from sin. But maybe as you watch this, and I told that story about the ungrateful servant, the unforgiving servant, maybe something is coming to mind. Ooh, have I really forgiven others? Or after receiving this great forgiveness for myself, am I now going around judging, condemning, and demanding things from other people? I've had to wrestle with this. I think anyone who's honest, and actually the preview to this story right before it is St. Peter, or Peter asks Jesus, Lord, how often should I forgive my brother when he sins against me? 7 times, and Jesus said, no, not 7 times, but 70 times 7, which is 490, 500 times. The point Jesus was making was not the literal number, because it's pretty hard to count. Oh, my brother sinned against me 401, 402, 403. No one's going to do that. That was not Jesus' point. It was to blow their minds with the importance of forgiveness in God's heart. And he was saying, oh, you have been forgiven billions of dollars, a debt you could never pay. You have no right to lord it over your brother and not forgive them for hundreds or thousands of dollars that they owe you. Again, we know that forgiving people and reconciling with them is 2 different things. There are people you need to forgive, but still keep a distance. Forgive, but keep healthy boundaries. Forgive, release them so you can be free. They may not change. They may still sin. They may still hurt you if you come close to them. That's why I said it's okay to have boundaries. And forgiveness is not saying what they did is okay. It's not denying there was a debt. No, it's actually the best thing you can do. Admit, yes, you hurt me. Yes, you owe me. Yes, I'm mad about that. Yes, there was sin here. There's a debt here. You did the wrong thing. But because I have done the wrong thing many more times toward God, and in His kindness He has forgiven me, out of that I am choosing to forgive you. I may not feel like it. It may still hurt, especially for a time. But I know it's the best way to get free. I've been released from my debt. I'm choosing to release you. Once again, I want to stress the importance of forgiving people. And sometimes that includes forgiving yourself. Sometimes you can be a Christian for years, you can be walking with God for years, and you can admit the need to forgive other people. And yes, they did wrong, but I choose to forgive them because I've been forgiven and Jesus died for me, He died for them. I'm just going to release them. It's a lot of what forgiveness is. It's actually a choice. It's actually just releasing people. But you can do that for others, but sometimes it's hardest to do that for yourself. It's hardest to face yourself and admit, man, even after accepting Christ, I continued to sin. I continued to let myself down or let others down, or I can't believe I did these things. I don't know what motivated me or why I got that wrong or why I was so off. I've been there. Most people have been there if they're honest. They thought, if I just become a Christian, I'll become perfect and never sin again and everything will just be great. Well, as I've talked about before, your spirit man is instantly joined to God and one spirit with Him and is washed, redeemed, and made perfect. And your spirit will live forever in the next life as well. But guess what? We're spirit, soul, and body. And so your soul is still in you, which usually wants to do soul-ish or sinful things more often than not, I find. And then your body is kind of that lame thing that kind of does whatever the spirit or soul tells it to. It may have urges to do some sinful things, but it's your spirit or your soul that are going to rule over and say, no, body, we're not doing that today. And actually your spirit can rule over your soul. Your soul says, I want to hate that person. I want to lust after that person. I want to do all this bad stuff. But your spirit can go, nope, that's not right. We're not going to do that. And you can have victory if you'll live from your spirit, man, connected to God, loved by God, redeemed by God. You will see victory. But that's why it's so important to forgive yourself. Don't go through life in shame, guilt, or condemnation. If you have been released by God from your sins, it's once and for all. If He is willing to forgive you of those sins when you didn't even know Him, He's certainly willing to forgive you of the things you've done, even though you did know Him and were still weak or still stumbling or just struggling. We struggle as human beings. None of us are perfect. None of us can do this life without God. That's the good news. Christ died to pay you for your sin and to make you new and bring you into a relationship, to adopt you in His family, and He's not going to kick you out if you keep seeking Him, repenting, calling on His name, and forgiving yourself, forgiving others because you've been forgiven. So that's the good news. Please, if you need help with that, if you're really struggling to forgive yourself, really encourage you, talk to a trusted Christian friend, maybe talk to a pastor. If you're at a church where they offer to pray for people, just say, I need a breakthrough in this. Would you pray for me? I need some help learning to forgive myself. And there's no shame in seeking out counseling. I prefer Christian counseling if it's available. And go and talk through, why am I having this trouble? Or it could be forgiving someone else. Prayer for that, counsel for that, but work through it, pursue it. He's forgiven you. He has released you if you believe in Jesus. And He calls you then, therefore, to start releasing others.